Hi, I'm Janelle from Toro, and here's a tip to boost your profit and cash flow quickly. Are you charging what you're worth? Now, we see all mechanics all the time completely undervaluing the really important work that they do. And let's face it, we're keeping vehicles and people safe on the road. So the reason we often get is, I don't want to rip my customer off. I don't want to be anti-competitive. I'm worried about what people will think. I'm worried about losing customers. But the reality is your major competitors, the large brands and the most successful workshops, are charging what they're worth, and they're charging what they should be, and are probably more profitable than your workshop or many workshops. So today's my top 3 tips on how to boost profit while remaining competitive. Now, tip 1 is book time versus time spent. Now, we know that book time is based on the recommended manufacturer's times for every service and repair, and time spent is exactly that. It's taken you an hour to do the job, so you charge an hour of labor. Now, the reality is if you're charging based on time spent, in most cases, you're actually charging lower than book time. So if a job's taking you an hour and a half and the book time is 2.5 hours, that's an hour of profit you're missing out on. And again, your major competitors, the large brands and the most successful workshops, are charging on book time. So why should you be penalized just because you're quicker on the job? You should be charging based on what the job is worth, not based on how long it actually takes you to do. Now, we do hear in some cases that the book time is actually lower than what it takes to do the job. That's the exception to the rule, and it tends to be the more complex repairs. You can actually make the adjustments in the pricing systems to cater for that. So that's an easy fix. Tip 2 is to make sure you're charging correctly for parts. Now, that means charging a markup based on retail, not based on cost. So if you're charging somewhere between 10 to 40% markup on cost, the reality is you're actually charging less than retail, and you're ripping yourself off essentially. Now, often workshops will say, well, I can't charge a markup on retail because customers can walk into the store and get that. The reality is they're not. And the reality is there is a cost involved in you looking after that part, buying the part, keeping it on your shelf, fitting the part, providing warranty on the part, returning the part. There is a cost involved in managing that part and putting it in the car. Yes, you're getting the labor, but the time over and above that is what justifies the markup over and above retail. Now, just look at it this way. If you've managed to negotiate a really good price with your parts supplier and you get further discounts, you're passing all of that on to your customer instead of yourself. Now, you're in business for a reason. You're in business to make a profit, not to put that profit back in your customer's pocket. My third tip is to avoid fixed prices. Now, these are set prices for a minor service or a major service. You might have it split between a small car and a four-wheel drive, etc. The reality is our car park in Australia is much more complex than that. Now, you know that the cost of parts and the cost of servicing or repairing each of those cars varies greatly. So why put it into a fixed price bucket? Now, often we get the feedback that, yeah, I know I lose a bit on this job, but I make it up on this one. Why should you lose on any job? Every job should be profitable. Now, often this comes from feedback saying, well, we want to compete with the dealerships. Well, the reality is a dealership is only working on one type of make of vehicle. They're just doing Toyotas or they're just doing Mazdas, whereas you're doing every type of car, and it's a lot more complex than that. Now, if you want to give your customer a fixed price, the reality is use a pricing system, work out the exact price for that particular service or repair on that vehicle. That's the price you give to the customer. It's in effect a fixed price because you're not going to then change it from there. So that gives the customer a really good experience, but it means that you're profitable on every single job. So I hope that's been helpful. They're my top 3 tips on how to boost profit quickly while remaining competitive. If you want some more tips from Toro, or if you're interested in knowing how we can help you boost your profit even further, click on the link in the email to book a discovery call and we'll go from there. Thanks so much.